Welcome to our continuing series, Questions and Answers for a World in Crisis. Today, On the Mother, Part 4. We continue with disciples' questions to Sri Aurobindo on the Mother and how she works with each disciple. Disciple. Is it true that when I realize the divine consciousness, there will be no difference between the mother's will and mine? I would like her to tell me whatever her will is, even if it is unpalatable to me, not to say, if you like or as you like, but to say, do this or do not do this. Sri Aurobindo. Certainly, when the divine consciousness is fully realized, there will be no difference between the mother's will and the sadhaka's. For a relation to exist in which mother can do as you say, the sadhak must not be afraid of the Mahakali aspect and ask only for sweetness. He must be able to take the blows of Mahakali as a blessing. He must also believe in her vision and judgment and word. Otherwise, when she says or does something unpleasant to his ego, that ego will go sulking, justifying itself, calling her names, etc., as is the habit with so many in the ashram, when she does not do what they like. There are very few here who can take this attitude even imperfectly, but it is with them that the mother has this relation. With others who have a different nature, she cannot but behave differently, for she has to act with each according to his nature. Disciple. During my talk with X, he spoke about the mother's preferences, about her taking more care of some and paying more attention to them. But it seems absurd and foolish to think that anybody knows more about people than mother. Sri Aurobindo. It is a favorite form of criticism, and quite natural to the human mind, which knows nothing about the play of forces through which the divine movement has to make its way under the conditions laid down by the play of the ignorance. Disciple. I am often guilty of a feeling of ingratitude towards the mother. I cannot find the way to remove the misunderstanding about her smile, or her seeing some persons often, or treating European sadhaks specially, and other such things which indicate partiality. With reasoning, it is easy to understand, but the feeling persists. Sri Aurobindo. But why indulge a feeling which has not truth or good sense or reason at its back? This accusation of partiality rests first on feelings of egoistic, vital demand, jealousy, etc., which are no doubt fairly universal in human nature, as it is, but not the more respect-worthy for that. It supports itself on a crude idea of equality, of treatment which in practice comes to this, that everyone should be treated in just the same way, which is about as impossible a thing as could be demanded in this world, and would make all action and all direction of either work or sadhana impossible. The mother extends the divine love and protection to all, but the form she gives to her action must vary with the different nature and need of each, the demands of the work, the necessities of their sadhana. The idea about Europeans is quite wrong, since, with the exception of X and Y, all those who see most of the mother or are given special positions of confidence are Indians. And to have that, something does not prevent complaints of being worse treated than others. These feelings, therefore, are merely the product of the restless discontent of the vital, and there is nothing to be done with them except to send them away whenever they come as useless disturbers of happiness and progress. Disciple. Many sadhaks try to judge the mother from her outer actions without some inner or higher basis. Sri Aurobindo. Yes, that is the mistake all the sadhaks make. How can they understand the mother's actions unless they are united in consciousness with the mother, have in fact the same consciousness as hers? Disciple. I am uneasy about the treatment accorded to me by the mother. Several times I have noted that she has acted against me. When I proposed something for Bushy, the cat's treatment, she found some tricky replies and then asked X to treat her. When Y wanted to join our class, Mother told me she would try to find someone to replace him at work so he could attend, but then she wrote to him about the class. It is not necessary. I have other examples also, and each one adds to the wounds she has dealt me. After all, what has she done for me since I came here? I have done my best. I have put the best of my energy into the work, but not once can I remember that she has cared for me as she cares for others. Sri Aurobindo. I do not know what right you have to invent false imputations against the mother, without even knowing all the facts out of your ignorant, egotistic mind, and insulting her with these falsehoods, calling her a liar and a trickster. X treated Bushy without asking the mother. She was not even informed, and she only knew of it when she heard the poor beast screaming and asked what was the matter. That is how the sadhaks treat the mother. And afterwards they insult and kick her. As for why, he had already asked, and the mother said no, because he works in the night, and she thought a class in addition would be too much strain for him. Afterwards, when you wrote that he was enthusiastic about it, she tried to find someone who would relieve him, but she has found no one. That is all. Even when she tries to meet your requests, you seize on it as an occasion for insulting her and putting the most base, vile, and sinister motives on her simplest actions. There is no reason for throwing the blame for your condition off your shoulders and attacking the mother. Disciple, why does the mother not speak directly to me and tell me what she wants? Does she not know that I truly want to do nothing but her will? Sri Aurobindo. What the mother said was perfectly just and reasonable. It is because your mind was confused and excited and hostile that it put its own imagined words and interpretations and tried to support and justify its hostility by its own inventions and inferences. This trick of putting into the mother's mouth words that she had not spoken, often the very reverse of what she had said, or of twisting her words and acts to mean something that she had never intended, is a constant habit of the forces of falsehood when they want to turn the sadhaks from the right way or use them against the truth and against the mother. If you thus make yourself the instrument of a falsehood, how can you expect not to fall away from peace and light and the true psychic condition? You were constantly doing that before, and it was the cause of all your troubles, putting yourself on the side of the obscure and false and hostile forces. If you want to get free, you must cease listening to them, justifying them, throwing them against the mother. We are perfectly ready to correct you and have no intention of leaving you to your ignorance. That is another absurd imagination. But you must also control yourself as soon as your mind starts this kind of thing, for otherwise you will not be truly ready to receive the correction, and will start again believing the mother to be false and deceptive and the rest of it, as soon as the hostile forces can create or invent an excuse. Disciple, there is no doubt that at times the idea enters the thinking elements among the members of the ashram that the mother has lost her grip on the physical, and thus she says things that are contradictory or not factual. Sri Aurobindo. It is rather surprising that the ashram does not break down altogether. If the mother has no grasp of the physical world, those who are in that lamentable condition are not usually able to run anything on the physical plane. But perhaps it is the great grip of the thinking elements here on the physical world that keeps the ashram going, in spite of the imbecility of myself and the mother. What I notice, however, is that when the mother says something, the thinking elements very often understand the exact opposite. You write of being responsive to the mother. You seem to be saying, don't concern yourself with whether something is true, whether it is a fact, whether it hurts you. Always respond as the mother leads. It is not quite like that. Those who respond find, on the contrary, that the mother has a greater grasp of truth than they have, and do not judge her by their fallible intellects, but try to see that truth and follow it. Disciple, it is not X alone, but many or most who turn things, spoken by the mother, in that way. The tendency is almost universal in human nature. It is not from dishonesty that he or others do it. It is because when they listen, their minds are not silent but active, and the thought of their minds mixes with what they have heard and gives it another turn or shape or color. Often also the vital interferes and exaggerates or reshapes according to the desire or the convenience. This is much more often unconsciously than consciously done. Sri Aurobindo. In the present instance, the mother spoke quite generally, not about why or what had happened in Z's case, and she meant that what ought to be remembered is not remembered because of some strong immediate desire which pushes the memory behind until the desire is fulfilled, and then only, if at all, the recollection comes. X evidently added his own ideas, applied it specially to wise action, and thought that the mother had said it was consciously done. That Y remembered and yet went against her conscious sense of right in order to fulfill her desire. That was not what the mother said or meant by her general statement. 30 March 1933. Disciple. Is it not the mother who tells us things indirectly through the discriminating mind or the psychic? Sri Aurobindo. It is only when the mother speaks directly that you can say the mother has said. Disciple. Mother told me in an interview 1 year ago that the psychic is quite strong in me. Did she say this to bring pride in me? It gave me a sense of superiority to persons like X and Y and many others. But now it would seem I am full of vital difficulties. Did the mother ever look at the vital difficulties of others as severely as she seems to be looking at mine? Sri Aurobindo. Mother told you about your psychic because she saw it, but she never told you that you were superior in that respect to X and Y. It was not said to bring pride in you, but to encourage you to rely on your psychic and bring it out so that it might get full control on the vital. I may add that the psychic being strong does not necessarily mean that it is in full control of the vital or cannot be clouded over. The condition some of those you mentioned have attained now is that the psychic is in control of the vital, so that doubts and revolts are not possible or are rapidly rejected. And that was the condition to which you were coming before this. It seems to me quite causeless and accidental lapse. So I wrote that there was no reason why you should not speedily have the same psychic consciousness which would prevent all doubt or any radical disturbance. 7 May 1934. Disciple. X has often quoted things that the mother told him, not only about me but about others. He says that she tells him these private things because she trusts him so much. But so many things are said in the mother's name. Often I have thought about how serious it is when someone says, "Mother said these things." Sri Aurobindo. People have put thousands of things in the mother's mouth that she never said. I have known them to say this and that to mother, and then go about putting it in mother's mouth saying, "Mother said to me." Also things that they have not said to her, and she never said. You should put no reliance on these statements. A lie is a lie, whoever speaks it. If you give credit to what someone or another thinks or says as mother's motive in an action, take her statement of her motive as untrue and somebody else's who cannot know as sound and true, and on that challenge mother for want of frankness. Is the resulting upset our fault? It is a question of greater confidence in the mother than in the statements or interpretations of sadhaks, or the hasty assumptions or inferences of your mind, or the feelings of your vital made without having the needed information. If you could get rid of that movement, things would be easier. 15 May 1936.